Ken Easley of the Seattle Seahawks, and you're watching NORBFAM.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is NORBFAM coming at you. Late night broadcast tonight, which I don't normally do this evening, but it's just been kind of a crazy last couple of days. I wanted to have a chance to at least talk about some of the stuff that's been going on since yesterday. And boy, it's been a interesting, to say the least, start to 2023. We'll start with the obvious one, just to talk a little bit. I want to share a few thoughts about the Damar Hamlin situation. If you've been following it, and I'm pretty much sure anyone who's been connected or a fan of any kind of sport has been seeing what's been going on. And boy, it's like something we've never really seen before. And before I continue, I just wanted to welcome those of you who are tuning in late this evening. I don't typically expect many people to be up, but surprising there's a lot of you out there. Alexander, Renan, Ralph, it's your boy X, Jacob, Julian, Nod Chief, Blizzard Peak, Darlin, Buster Posey, AD, and Casey Sports Nerd. Whoa, from even in a later time zone still up. What's up? Tyler Parcher's here. SeaWorld, Drunk Squidward, Sue, nice one. All right, so welcome to this broadcast tonight, just to share a few thoughts with you guys. So the first thing, again, talking about Damar Hamlin. So I was watching the game yesterday, and when the incident happened, it was really first kind of surprising because, you know, if you watch the play, it didn't seem like it was that bad of a hit, right? You see so many hits where, you know, if somebody goes down right away, you're like, ooh, that didn't look good, or they fall awkwardly or something. And, you know, he made the tackle. T. Higgins kind of hit him in the chest, and they both fell to the ground, both got up, and you thought, okay, next play, no big deal. And then all of a sudden, Hamlin just fell backwards onto his back and wasn't moving. And it still didn't really make sense. You're just kind of thinking, did he get, did his head get dizzy or something? And it couldn't really put your finger on it. And then finally, when you realize how the urgency of the medical staff went to him, you knew something was wrong. And it just, because of the fact that it didn't make obvious sense, was even more concerning the way that it went, that you knew something was different from most cases. And then as we saw with the players' reactions, and then with the ambulance coming onto the field, I mean, all that just, it was nerve-wracking, to say the least, just wondering what was going to happen. And so I'm glad they did cancel the game. I can't imagine how the players could have possibly tried to regroup and play that game after what had just happened. And so fast forward to today, and I've been keeping an eye on this on Twitter and other social media just to see what the updates are. And there's not been a lot of significant updates to this point. My understanding of the latest, and I think this came from Damar's uncle, he was interviewed talking about it, saying that when they arrived at the hospital last night, they did have to sedate him so they could put a breathing tube inside him so he could breathe, because he wasn't breathing on his own. Then as of today, they said he was from 100% relying on the machine to breathe to 50%. So that shows progress. And then I think the latest thing was that he was turned from his back, I think, over to his side or more towards his front so that there would be less pressure on the lungs. So that's the latest that I've seen. And I don't know if anything's come in since that last bit of information, and I keep scrolling through to try to see if there's anything new, and I have not seen anything really new since that last bit of information. So it's a very scary situation, and like everybody's been saying, there's been a lot of support, thoughts and prayers for Damar Hamlin and his family, and I think we all kind of agree that that's all we can do right now. There's been a lot of support for his GoFundMe to help with his medical expenses, and a lot of people supporting his fundraiser that he has going on right now. So kind of millions of dollars really on both sides, which is great to see the outpouring of support. And, I just think it's one of those things where it was so kind of surprising. It's never happened like this. It's taken this long before an incident like this happened because, players are becoming bigger, faster, stronger. And even though they try to work safety, do as much as they can to put safety into the game, whether it's additional technology in the helmets, try to change the rules so that there's less violent collisions where players are more exposed in a more dangerous way, like like back in the 60s and 70s and even the 80s. But there's just something that you can't really take away when you've got one person going full blast and another person going full blast, and if they legally hit each other, there's just something about momentum and the physics of it is that two large masses going quickly at each other, something's going to give. And so a lot of times that's why we see the head injuries. That's why we see, the things that happen to the rest of the body, whether it's, something that's broken or torn. But this was just such an unusual thing to see in terms of somebody losing consciousness on the field and having to be revived because his life is on the line. I think that's what separates this from so many other things. I remember the Ricardo Lockett injury that ended his career. I don't know if you remember that, against the Cowboys. It was an away game, and I remember he just kind of took a hit on a punt. I believe it's a punt return, and he just kind of went to go block somebody, and he hit him awkwardly with his neck. He went down, and he was like motionless, and that was scary too. And apparently, had they not handled him correctly in terms of maneuvering his neck and his body before they moved him to the stretcher, that could have been serious damage. So, the medical staff, I think, and even in this case, is top notch, and they did a great job taking care of him, Damar Hamlin, as well as situations like what happened to Ricardo Lockett, because had they not handled it correctly, who knows what worse situation could have come from it. So great job by them to handle the situation the way they did. It's I think why it's so hard right now, and people aren't talking about what to do next because we don't even know what his status is. Everything that I've told you, I think, is all that's really been publicly made available. And so we don't really know yet how physically at one point, will he get out of critical condition to where he's stable and just even normal condition. Let's address what might be happening in his brain, because the fact that he was required CPR and an AED and a breathing machine means that at some point he was not getting oxygen to the brain. So, I don't know if any at all, damage might have happened there, but that won't be determined probably, at least for a while, until, he's somewhat conscious, and obviously we're not there yet. So it's a tough situation, I'm sure, for the powers that be that have to try to figure out how do we continue to, respect the situation and everyone involved, as well as the rest of the teams who are watching this closely. And then the actual football season, which is each day coming closer to this coming weekend. Are they going to continue to play the games as scheduled? What are they going to do about the game that they canceled last night? Are they going to potentially push back? There's just so many different things that could, they might need to do to try to figure this out. But obviously, it kind of takes one thing first before they do the other. My understanding is that they're going to continue with the schedule, the playoff schedule, with the games that are already scheduled. But what does that mean for the Bills and the Bengals, whose games kind of depended on what would have happened in the game yesterday. So I don't know what they're going to do there. It's a tough, unprecedented place to be in terms of, trying to do the right thing, and with someone's life that's kind of hanging in the balance. What's the proper step? This is where the commissioner gets paid a lot of money to manage these situations, and he's going to have to earn it here because he speaks for all the owners, for all the teams, and what he does here, how he handles this. He could come out very heroic, or he could come out looking very badly, depending on how he chooses to handle this. I don't even know what I would do in this case. That would be tough. We'd have to have a lot of different, opinions and thoughts from people close to the different teams to advise what would be the best course of action, because like I said, there's no precedent for this. So, there's no playbook on what to do when this type of situation happens. So they're kind of blazing a trail here. So we will monitor this situation, and as it develops, and I'll try to bring any information that I have to share with you guys about it, and we'll see what the NFL decides they're going to do depending on how things progress. And we can only hope that for Damar Hamlin and for his family and for the team, that he can get to a situation where he starts to improve, and hopefully he will be able to have a situation where he's looking promising that he can leave the hospital and regain full faculties. And, whether he plays again, that'll be another step later. But right now, just that he can get back to normal is all we can hope for right now. AD with the super chat. Oh, he sent me a $5 super chat. Sorry about that. I did not see that. Let me see. Oh, there you go. AD says all the NFL players formed a shield around him so cameras won't zoom in on the medical personnel working on him. Super scary indeed. Yeah. And I don't know if they consciously did that or if they were just there to, be there to, surround him, as players often do during times when they're being tended to. But I would like to think that the broadcast team and the director, guiding the television crews would have said, don't show this. We don't need to see what's going on. And I think they did that for the most part. They just mostly showed players' reactions and kept it as wide shots. So I thought the way the live crew handled the situation was pretty good. Booger McFarland actually probably the best, because he kind of said the most, profound things in a moment where nobody has a script to go off of. Everyone's just kind of winging it. And what can you say? There's a certain point where they're kind of at a loss for words. Some people did say some things that didn't go over well. Skip Bayless, under fire. A lot of people calling for his head to be fired for his comments, because he tweeted out that, I'm not going to try to quote it, but basically, what are they going to do about this game? Seemingly more interested in about the game, the standings, and the playoff implications, rather than whether Damar Hamlin his health condition was even taken into consideration. So we'll see what happens with all this. But we'll just keep hoping and praying for a good result, and we'll try to get news to you as we find out what is the latest. So it's a little bit awkward to try to transition from that to talking about the Seahawks. I was going to do this video yesterday, really going off on the NFL about the Seahawks, the scheduling choice that they made. And then after last night, it sort of made it kind of moot to complain about that after what had happened. I do want to address this, though, because assuming we still play this game on Sunday as it's scheduled, I have a lot of people who've asked me, or I kind of posted about my opinion on different social media, but on Facebook in particular. And it's interesting. A lot of people, for the most part, I think most Seahawks fans are upset about the way the late game got scheduled. And some people agreed, some people disagreed. and some people were still confused about the playoff situation. So let's just back up for those of you who are just paint this simple picture about the Seahawks playoff situation right now. So right now, as it stands, if you look at the standing, the Seahawks are actually right now in the wild card, that last spot, and they are tied the same exact record with the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. The reason why we're currently in that spot is because if things stopped right now, we would be in the position where we would be in the playoffs. Unfortunately, there's one more game to play, so that can all change. So for the Seahawks to get in, they need two things to happen. Number one, they have to beat the Rams at home in the last game. That goes without saying. They got to win that game. Secondly, the Packers must lose, or the Lions must beat the Packers. Those two things happen, the Seahawks are in the playoffs. Anything else, if we lose, we're out. And if we lose, then it's going to be either the Lions or the Packers. If we, and if the Lions lose, if we lose, then the Lions lose, Packers are in. If we lose, then that's really it. We need those two things. Seahawks got to win and Packers have to lose, and then we get in. So the issue, and the people some were confused. I don't understand why we have the same record. Why would we lose? So the reason why we would win if we get in the playoffs, if we win and the Packers lose, is because right now the Seahawks and the Lions would have the same record if we won and the Lions won. But the reason we would come out ahead and get the spot is because we played the Lions earlier in the year and beat them head to head. That's why we have that tiebreaker over the Lions. Flip it the other way. If we win and the Packers win, the reason we don't get in is because the Packers, while the record would be the same, we didn't play them head to head. So the next tiebreaker is conference schedule. And the Packers, with a win, would have one more win in the conference than us in the NFC. And that's why the Packers would get in instead of us. Okay. That's basically how it breaks down. So the simplest form is we have to win, Packers got to lose. That's not hard, right? It's easy to root for us and to root against the Packers. That's pretty normal. So where the whole Seattle getting screwed thing happens is because for the most part, over recent years, anytime there's a game where two teams, in this case 3, have a chance of getting in based on what happens to the other team, they normally schedule those games at the same time. That way, no team goes into the game looking back at the scoreboard going, oh, well, that already happened, so the result we have, it doesn't matter anymore. In this case, because the Lions' playoff chances hang on what happens in our game, because of the fact that they didn't schedule at the same time, they moved the Lions and the Packers game to prime time after our game. That means everybody on the Lions and everybody in the Packers will know what they're playing for once our game's over. If we lose, well, the Lions are going, yeah, we can get the playoffs. We just got to beat the Packers. The Packers have to win no matter what. But if we win, the Lions will look and go, oh, the Seahawks won. Damn, I guess we can't go to the playoffs now. So they'll know that going in. And that's where the argument lies in and why there's so much anger by the Seahawks and why we feel like we got screwed by the NFL, because they know this. And yet the NFL decided to put that game in prime time because I believe they think that a game with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers is going to get better ratings, in a game where he could come out winning and making it into the playoffs. Much more interestingly than Geno Smith taking Seattle to the playoffs. Better ratings gold with Aaron Rodgers. So now what we're upset about may not matter, assuming that the Lions coach and players all play the same intensity, the same desire, the same go for it all, don't hold anything back as they would if they had a playoff berth at stake, right? Let's say Seahawks win, the Lions look at the scoreboard, they go, damn, Seahawks won. I guess we're not going to the playoffs. But we're going to try to kill the Packers anyway, beat them on their turf, and stick it to our division rivals. If that happens and everybody plays as hard as possible, well, then what we're complaining about doesn't matter. Assuming that every single person on that team, every coach calls the game exactly the same way. And the one advantage to this is that they will have planned their rosters and everything with the plan to win, to go to the playoffs. So that will have already been in place. The question is going to be, will the coach look at that and go, yeah, I don't care if we're not going to the playoffs, we're going to play just as hard. Pete Carroll in a press conference said he believed that the Lions, with Campbell as their coach, that he's going to play them as hard as he would if the playoffs were at stake. He seems like a guy who wouldn't just let off the gas, but you've also got 53 other guys on the roster who, now keep this in mind, are just coming off watching what happened last night. And is it possible that some players will be looking at that thinking, do I really want to hit this guy or take a hit from this guy after what I just saw happen to Damar Hamlin the other night? Do I really want to risk myself when I've got nothing, no playoffs to shoot for? That's what concerns me. You could put all the same guys out there and everything, but maybe when it comes down to it, maybe one guy decides, I'm just not going to hit that guy. I'm not going to take the hit. I'm just going to get out of the way. I'll arm tackle him, but I'm just not going to put my head and my neck, in a dangerous spot because I'm not playing for a playoff check here. That's the problem. That is what's inherently bad with this situation, what the NFL did to the Seahawks. Because the field's not even. Normally what they do is if the games are played at the same time, they don't show the scores during the game. That way the teams theoretically have no idea what's going on with the other games. So they're playing just as hard thinking, we might be going for the playoff berth here. This might be it. So we got to play as hard as possible. But if you know, right? I mean, psychologically, don't you think that if anything, there's going to be that little bit that someone's going to just pull back a little bit and not play as hard, maybe not, go for it as much, especially with the fact that there's just the whole, injury situation that, that hangs in the balance as well. So there's one more point before I bring, you guys are welcome to call in here. I got the number right there if you want to, voice your opinion on the matter, or on Discord. But I wanted to make this point that the other thing too is that besides that element, this is where conspiracy theory comes into the whole thing, right? I contend that the NFL, which is all about putting out games that will generate interest, that will generate ratings, that will generate money and make advertisers happy, right? The more people watching, the more advertisers go, hey, I'm glad we spent our hundreds and thousands or millions of dollars on this commercial because, boy, look at all the people watching our commercials right now. So if you're the NFL and you've made this decision to put the Lions-Packers game in prime time, well, what do you want to have happen for that primetime game to get the maximum eyeballs on it? Well, you want two teams going at it who are fighting for a playoff berth, right? You would want to see the Lions and the Packers basically in a playoff, one-win, a winner-takes-all game. Well, for that to happen, what has to happen before that? The Seahawks must lose for that situation to happen. Because if we win, the Lions no longer are playing for anything except spoiler. So the interest level is not going to be as high if the Lions aren't playing for a playoff spot. You can't hypen up the announcers can't say, winner takes all, a battle of the NFC North. No, this is going to be, well, Packers could take it all, or the Detroit Lions playing spoiler today. It doesn't quite have the same panache, doesn't have the same, ring to it, the same conviction. And believe me, how many Seahawks fans are going to be tuning into that game if the Seahawks lose, right? So the conspiracy theorist in me, which there really normally isn't one, but there sniffs to be one in this situation, is the NFL might want to try to shave the odds in the favor that maybe the Seahawks don't win that game. So maybe the refs might be like ready to throw a few extra flags to make sure that the Seahawks, don't quite get that, holding call that probably would normally throw the flag on. Maybe there's a little extra pass interference on our Tariq Woolen when he's defending the receiver going down the field. Or maybe there is a false start of the center for bobbing his head that we don't call 95% of the time, but this 5% we will call it on Seattle, killing a drive and ultimately making it a 3-and-out instead of what would have been a first down. Normally, I don't like to subscribe to these theories. I'll be one who rarely blames the refs when the Seahawks lose. But I'm already predicting some bad calls to go Seattle's way because when the motivation is there, I'm already hearing talk shows during the week talking about the Packers, who will they play in the playoffs. They're already assuming it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. It's good for business. It's good for the league. It's good for everything. It's just bad for us. It's bad for us. So everything is leaning towards trying to make it happen to where Aaron Rodgers has the biggest chance of success here. Because you want to get your stars in the big show. They want to get Brady in there. The NFL has got to be drooling at the possibility of a Brady-Rodgers matchup again. They would love that. They would love to see that matchup. And doggone it, it's all shaping out to play out that way. Brady gets in there. Panthers don't beat him. Not saying that was ref's fault or anything, but here's another game where if there's a likely candidate that they would like to get as clean a path as possible to that promised land, boy, that's the one that they want to have. So call me crazy. And I don't like I'm not one to normally say the games are rigged, the fix is in. I don't even like to believe that that's the case. And I'm hoping to go in on Sunday and watch a well-balanced officiated game that's fair and real, and that the Seahawks, if we can go out there and beat the Rams, we beat them fair and square. And if the Rams beat us fair and square, well, then we don't deserve to be in the playoffs. But if we can if we don't feel like we had to beat the Rams and the refs, I'll be very pissed. I'll be very disenchanted with the NFL if it comes out looking like that. But I'm telling you right now, it doesn't look good. I feel like the odds, so many odds against us right now, in so many ways, for us to actually pull off the miracle and get the win, have the Packers lose at home, and then squeak our way into the playoffs. Now, I understand. We're not a Super Bowl team. We barely limped into this final game with a chance to squeak into the playoffs. Yeah, we're certainly not a team that looks like they're firing all cylinders like the 49ers or who is really? The Eagles were, but now they've kind of stumbled a little bit with injury to the quarterback, but he'll be back. The Cowboys, looking pretty solid. But yeah, don't have any crazy aspirations. But I'll tell you what, and this is what drives me crazy about it. There's a lot of close friends and fans that I know who are like, you know what, I want them to play competitive, but I want them to lose. I don't want to make the playoffs because, we got to enhance that draft pick next year. It's like, you know what? I want more Seahawks football. For every season there is, great that we have 17 games. Well, doggone it, I'd love to make it 18. So what if we're one and done? There's something about just being in the playoffs that is exciting. You get a whole nother week of rooting for your team. You're on the national stage. Everybody's watching your team. And you tell me that if you had a choice to be in the playoffs, even if it's just the first round, that you're going to turn that down? Some fluky thing might happen. What if they find a way to win? You're going to turn that down just for a slightly better draft pick next year? We already got good draft picks coming from Denver, so we're kind of set up to make the most of that. A playoff appearance or not, it's not going to suddenly drastically change our draft. And I'm not one who's big on that, every quarterback top pick is going to be guaranteed success. We all know. I mean, look at Sauce Gardner and Tariq Woolen. Perfect example. Two guys playing the same position, battling for Defensive Rookie of the Year. One guy went at like number 5 in the draft, and Tariq Woolen went 5th round, and he's playing just as good, if not better, than the guy who went in the first round. So Seattle's shown that they can get great guys later rounds of the draft, and they've also shown they can blow their early picks. Sometimes they draft better later than they do when they get too much of a good thing in the beginning, because sometimes they make some questionable first-round picks. Anyway, that's my feeling on it. So, yeah, I've never been one for tanking. You know, part of it is because I go to these games. I pay for these games every week, and I've got extra tickets that I like to be able to sell to people so they can go. And, you know, my goal is not to make money. My goal is to not lose money. And, boy, if we were out of the race halfway through the year, I would probably have to give these tickets away because nobody would want to check it out. So I'm not happy with the way this thing played out. And one more thing. Then there's these people who say, well, you know, if the Seahawks didn't get swept by the worst division in the NFC South, and go winless against them, or if they just got, you know, took care of the Raiders, you know, we wouldn't even have been in the position. We could have controlled it. Well, yeah, true. But we're here. We beat the Jets last week to get here. The Packers had to come from playing crappy at the pass and then playing better to get here. So why is the playing field not equal, regardless of what happened to get here? Whether we started hot and got cold and then squeaked in, or started cold and played hot to get in. They're supposed to make it where the games are equally balanced schedule-wise, so that teams playing for something, all the teams are equally playing as hard. And the bottom line is the NFL didn't do that. They made it so that the Lions would have less motivation to play hard because they put the game after ours. I mean, that's it. You know, that is really it in terms of how they screwed the Seattle Seahawks. You know, Detroit Lions, you know, Seahawks, prove us wrong. You know, beat the Rams and don't let the officials dictate what happens. Just beat them. Start off hot, beat them. Making no question about it that, hey, we deserve to be in the playoffs the way we're playing right now. And Lions, for the love of the game, just play your asses off like you did last week. I think the coach does have a sense of pride. He would not want to lose this game from what I've seen and the way the team has played all year and what I saw and watching their team on Hard Knocks. So we'll see what happens. We got to win ours first, otherwise none of this matters. If we don't beat the Rams, none of this scheduling mumbo jumbo means anything. So we'll see what happens come Sunday. But really, we'll be watching this day to day, because what happens with Damar Hamlin could impact what happens with the games moving forward. So again, who knows? Would they push it back a week, push the whole playoff picture back a week to figure things out? That'd be a lot of scheduling craziness. Move the Super Bowl? Would they do that? Would they move the Super Bowl another week back after everything that's being planned for that city? Or do they just move the playoffs up a week and cut the Super Bowl lead-in from 2 weeks to 1? Would they do that? I don't know. That's a big headache, but that's why Commissioner Roger Goodell gets paid, 8-9 figures, whatever he gets paid. I think it's 8. No. Yeah, 8. He gets paid like $30 million or something like that. He makes a lot of money. So he gets to earn it this week. So good luck to you, man. I wouldn't want to be in your position right now. All right. You guys can feel free to call in if you want. Again, the number's right there, 202-926-1076, and then punch in the code 696153 if you'd like to share your thoughts on what you think about everything I spewed out for the last few minutes. But AD is super chatting, said, can I be the first to talk? And since you're the only one on here right now, I guess you're up. So AD, what's going on? Hold on a second. I can hear you, but the other folks can't, but I'm going to rectify that right now.
Nebraska won titles back in 94 and 95, led by...
I think this should do it. All right, AD on Discord. Say something, man.
Hey, man.
Right,
Yeah, wow.
You're on. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, all this crazy stuff that's going on with the NFL player. I keep seeing his name, but
Damar
I can't
Hamlin.
pronounce it with the stuff. Damar Hamlin, thank
Damar
you.
Hamlin.
Yeah, wow. Watching what happened to that poor
Number one,
dude.
Georgia
I didn't
returned
watch
to the
it
practice
live,
field.
of course. I just heard it on my dad's tablet, but hearing and watching what happened, that's just unbelievable, dude. Just watching him playing his butt off for the Bills, only to get hit in the chest by a very strong opponent, getting his bottom back up, only to hit his bottom on the ground, unconscious, and whatnot. That's insane. That's actually really scary crap right there, dude, if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't think we've ever seen a situation where a player was having to be resuscitated. We've seen, players get knocked out. We've seen players, who's been in a situation where they can't move them because they're concerned about neck or spinal injuries, but never a case where they've had to be revived on the field, and yeah, and they haven't officially launched or released anything about what exactly happened, but I think somebody who was a cardiologist was speculating about it. They think maybe there's this kind of thing where if you get hit in the heart at a precise moment when the heart's beating a certain way, that it could cause something for the heart to stop beating because of the timing of the impact and the location of it. So again, maybe this is just bad timing, bad luck, but if it could happen to him, it could happen to somebody else, right? It's just a matter of the odds, and apparently the odds are pretty slim because it hasn't happened before. So, but yeah, I'm sure this is going to be it's a big wake up call, a big learning thing for the rest of for the league. And how will they handle this moving forward? Is there anything they can do to try to prevent this once they figure out exactly what caused it? But yeah, it's never a good situation where someone's potentially, at risk of losing their life playing this game. And that's what makes this different from the rest of other injuries. Usually they're not life-threatening. They might be career-ending, but usually not life-threatening at the moment that it happens. And that's what makes this so much more frightening. So, yeah. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. I'm doing some research. Not what Damar went through, getting hit in the chest and ended up having his heart stops on the field, but something similar to this has actually happened before. Chuck Hughes.
Is this like from the 1960s? Had a heart attack on the field?
1971.
Or 71, that's right. Yeah. Right. Had a heart attack on the field, I think. Isn't that what it says?
Right now, I'm looking it up right now. It's on time.com. For some fans, a 24-year-old Bills star's medical emergency evokes the death of Chuck Hughes more than 50 years ago, who also collapsed during the game. To date, Hughes remains the only NFL player to die after collapsing on the field, according to most resources. I did see that it has to do with a blood clot he had on the field, maybe resulting to a heart attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, when I say we haven't seen this before, we're talking the modern NFL. So yeah, you're right. There was a precedent, a case, but 1971, the game has changed so much since then. Obviously, people have, the expansion, the coverage, the visibility of the game is so much different now than it was back in the 70s. And then really the amount of money and the protection for the players back in the 71. I think back then players actually had other jobs because they had to offset the money they were making for sports to, make ends meet. So it wasn't the multi-billion-dollar business that it is today. So it's a much different situation. But yeah, you're right. There was a previous incident where somebody had a heart attack and died, but it was, like I said, 51 years ago a long time ago. So again, which just goes to show the odds that if that's the last time somebody had a heart issue, that maybe if that had happened to him last night, he would be in a hospital, being resuscitated. I mean, that's the difference too. I don't think they had AEDs back then, at least not the kind that they have now, where it's like portable and immediately usable. Again, technology has also changed some things. So Alena is saying, no, it wasn't a blood clot. So I don't know. I've not read that.
Oh, okay.
We're just, I don't know the exact details of that previous case, but again, we're talking about NFL. Somebody mentioned too about some soccer players have had heart attacks. And then Fish Kepper said, didn't Hughes have a pre-existing condition? Again, I'm not here to try to analyze, that case to this one. You can look that up if you want to find out more about what was the details of it. But as far as the modern day NFL, this is an unprecedented case talking about recent years. So our hope is just that he comes out of this okay, and that he can still have normal life moving forward. I don't know if he can play again. It's hard. We're so used to things like ankles, high ankle sprains, knee. We're all experts now when it comes, you torn ACL, that's going to be about 6 to 9 months, maybe 12 months for him to recover. This, nobody knows. Nobody knows if there's a recovery from this, or was there any damage at all, or, is this just a matter of time and he'll be back to normal, or is there something that happened that he's not going to be the same after this? We just don't know. But it's one thing we do know is that it's
going to take a miracle for that to happen. That's going to take a miracle for him to get out of this and actually go back playing on the football field, if that can happen, which, to be honest, I definitely have some doubts he will go back on the field to play again if he does survive. Really, all I care is that he just survives and he has a second chance at living his life.
Right. I'm sure his family's not thinking about his career and just hoping he can wake up and be able to talk to him again. That's number one right now, because right now he's unconscious with the machine helping him breathe. That's the scariness of that situation.
That's some scary stuff right there.
Yeah, and I remember when I can't say I've had firsthand experience at that, but the closest I got was not that long ago, just early part of last year, when I had to take my dad to the hospital when he had trouble breathing, and we realized that he was having COVID complications. I had to drive my dad to the hospital, and he was barely conscious. He was like half awake, half asleep.
Oh, wow.
Because his breathing was so low, his oxygen level was so low. And when I dropped him off, I took a picture of him just because I didn't know if this was the last time I was going to see him. And we kept, being told that, the one thing you want to hope for is that he doesn't have to go to the point where he has to get a respirator, which is what is happening right now to Damar Hamlin. But because people were saying, if you're in the hospital for COVID and they get to the point where you have to put you on a ventilator, that's never a good sign, because that means, one, you're unconscious. That's exactly what they did to Damar, is what they have done to many victims in the hospital, where they have to sedate them, basically put them to sleep so that they can put this breathing tube inside them. You can't be awake and have the ventilator. And so then you got to hope that you can recover.
I wonder why.
Okay, well, one, I think it's just very uncomfortable. You have this tube stuffed down your throat. I mean, it would be very uncomfortable to try. I can only imagine how that is. But I think that's the reason why, because you're letting the machine control your breathing and everything. So the machine is taking over for what normally is your automatic functions that the brain does. So they kind of shut you down and let the machine sort of regulate that. So, again, luckily then we never got to that point. My dad never had to be on the machine, but man, it was, he was in the hospital for 3 weeks. And then after he got out of the hospital, when he could finally breathe on his own, it was at least a month and a half before he could even sit up and then slowly start to get out of bed, take a step. I mean, it was like starting from scratch. And thank God he's back to normal now. I mean, it's amazing when I think about it, in less than a year with the condition he was in. And tomorrow I take him to the airport. They're going to go back on a cruise ship and enjoy traveling again. It's crazy to think that they've managed to do that already. So, but it was scary, and it was a long road to recovery. Granted, my dad was 82 at the time, but nonetheless, anytime you get to that situation where you have to have a machine assist you to breathe is a pretty horrible, scary situation. So,
yeah. Him recovering like that, I really do believe that the Lord Jesus was on his side right there, dude. He's not ready to leave this earth at all. He's got much more life in him that he needs to really complete.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so, and that this can just be a challenging point that he can bounce back from this, and maybe there's more work for him to be done. He's only 24 years old. I mean, I think he's younger than you, Anthony D. Right? You're older than 24, right?
I am 24.
You're the same age.
I will be turning.
So you're the same age. You are a young man. He's a young man with so much of his life ahead of him. So, but hey, hold on a second. I'm gonna
this year.
What's up? All right, hold on a second, AD. I'm gonna go take a call off the regular line here. So stand by. I might pull you up again here, but let me grab this call from the 510. Hang on a second while I get you dialed in here. Just a sec. All right. Hopefully this is working. Is this Gupta?
Yeah.
Hi, Gupta. You're on the air. What do you have on your mind? What's your thoughts about things?
So I was just saying, I'm really, really shocked about the Damar Hamlin situation.
Mm-hmm.
Was the most traumatic things I've ever seen. I mean, I watch football. I'm a big football fan. I watch the sport a lot, and I've never seen a player collapse on the field like that. And yet, that was a very terrifying moment. I wish all my prayers go out to Hamlin and his family. I wish he gets better. That was very tough to see. I mean, I'm happy that they suspended the game.
Mm-hmm.
And took all the players off of the field. So the fans didn't have to see it. So but that was really traumatic. That was you never like to see that in football, but football's a sport that's full contact. Players are going to get injured left and right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a sight that any fan would like to see, but you can't do that because football, these things happen a lot in the sport. So, I wish he gets better. I wish, everything is fine with him. I hope nothing is too serious at this point. They're kind of evaluating what everything's going to be at this point. But, I wish everything's good and I hope he can return back to the team as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree, and we can only just keep hoping for the best, and let the medical powers that be, and whatever you believe in higher powers that might help him get through this. But it is very, it was scary to watch and hard to see the players go through that and see their teammates and their friends and their colleagues. It's like watching your coworker go down, right? I mean, it's traumatic for anybody to see anybody go down, but especially somebody that you work with and live with and travel with and spend all your days with. You can imagine how hard it is for them, and of course for their families too.
Is this NORBFAM?
This is
on the call.
This is Norb.
I'm just saying that I love your YouTube channel. I mean, you're a big Seahawks fan, and I know you really you really are passionate about your team, and you really get fired up when your team doesn't do so well. But I mean, it's you put great content on your YouTube channel. I hope you keep putting great content on there, because people need to come and check out your YouTube channel and see how well, how much of a great job you're doing on the channel.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you watching my channel as well.
And I still support you, even though I'm a 49er fan. I still come on your YouTube channel because I know you get a lot of fans from different sports teams to come and support you. So, yeah, I just want to say that was really terrifying, but I hope everything's fine with Hamlin, and hopefully he can make a fast recovery back to come back to the game. But I don't know when that game's gonna resume.
Yeah,
because
there's so much up in the air right now. Yeah,
maybe another day they might resume it for another day. Probably they'll postpone it and they'll play it maybe next year. They might resume it after.
Yeah, it's a tough one because of the fact that the playoffs kind of hinge on this as well. There's no easy solution to this that doesn't affect everything else. So, we'll see how they decide to handle it. But this is a tricky situation to say the least. But hey, Gupta, thanks for the call on the sport. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and I will love to call in on another time. I'm always willing to come on your channel and give you all that love and support, because I always like to support all the content creators out there.
I appreciate that. Nothing would give me more joy to get a third shot at the 49ers in the playoffs. I'm not confident in what that result would be, but heck, I'd love another shot. Third time's a charm, they say, So we'll see.
And your girls are amazing. They're really great. They're amazing. You got to tell them that I like what they're doing, and they play volleyball. So both your girls are great. They have such a great personality. They're always happy to be that you're their father, and you always do great things for them. So it's always great that you mention them a lot. That's really great that you mentioned both of them. And tell them how much you mean to them.
Thank you. They're cool with me too, as long as I don't dance in front of their friends. So that's pretty much the only thing that kills it for them. But no, I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna grab another call here, but Gupta, thank you for your support. I want to go to Daniel on the line from the 915. Daniel, you're on with NORBFAM. What's up?
Hello.
Hi there. What's on your mind?
Basically, I just want to talk about after what happened yesterday, or on Monday. It made me realize how much the NFL is just they don't really take into consideration how much safety they put into their players, and it was really unfortunate what happened yesterday on Monday night.
So what makes you say that they don't put much effort into their safety? Because they have been trying to put a lot of safety changes to the game, to the equipment, to the rules, so that players are less exposed to harmful hits. But are you talking about the way the game was handled, or what is it specifically that you're saying that you have that opinion?
Well, yeah, I think it was how the game was handled, because even though they canceled it for a little bit, they were originally supposed to go back on, which I think was not the right way to go. And I think from the get-go it was just supposed to be for them just to end the game right there and postpone it.
So a spokesperson, I can't remember who it was now, but somebody on the NFL had said that, I think, because Joe Buck, I believe on the broadcast, said they've been given 5 minutes for the teams to warm up before they would go back out there and play. And this NFL representative said that this was not the case. They'd never told the teams that they had to come back out and play, that this was actually not true. I think there was some misinformation out there. So I don't know. Again, it's a he said, she said. We don't really know exactly what was discussed. Obviously, the coaches had a discussion. The refs were talking. I'm sure people from New York, from the head office, were in conversation, probably trying to figuring out what were they comfortable with. And obviously, they made the decision not to do it. But, it's so I don't know. It's hard to point fingers when you don't really know all the information. And so I'm just glad that they made that choice not to do it. And, and that's the end result. They didn't play the game. So in the end, they made the right call. Now, we don't know about the other stuff that was said. But at this point, they haven't botched this situation. But how they handle everything moving forward, it's just like I said in the beginning, Roger Goodell's either going to come out of this looking like a hero or a villain, depending on how he handles this very unique situation. So there's going to be probably a solution. It's not going to make everybody happy. Someone's going to not be happy about it, but he's got to try to weigh the most important thing, and that is the human element factor. And we'll see how that plays out one day to the next. So, Daniel, thanks for the call. You can hang on for a second if you'd like. I'm going to bring in Eva White from the 206. Let's see what Eva's got to say. Is this
Hi.
Eva?
That's my mom's name. I don't know why it's like that.
It's probably a caller ID thing.
I heard about Damar's it's like a potential condition that he has. It's extremely rare. It's like in like a millisecond time window in his heartbeat, where if he has like a hard impact to his upper like chest, he gets like, he can collapse and he goes into a cardiac arrest episode. I forgot what the specific condition was called because I saw it.
Right.
It's like, it's a possibility. I don't think it's like confirmed, but it's like pretty much like all the same symptoms to what happened to Damar on Monday.
Yeah. I read that same thing. I think it was somebody who was a cardiologist kind of offered his analysis of what he thought happened. So I read the same thing, and I mentioned it earlier on this broadcast that it was
I
proposed
just
that
joined the
maybe.
live, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah,
So,
no, and it could very well be
and
the
also
case.
thank you
Oh, I'm sorry, say that again?
just thank you for choosing me.
You're welcome.
I'm very happy.
Oh, well, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you very much. But yeah, so I never caught, and what was your name? I know it's not Eva. What is your name?
It's Ash.
Ash? All right, Ash, thanks for joining the call. Appreciate it. I guess until there's a lot to unpack here, and they won't know until they find out exactly, as the medical evaluation and everything continues along here, to see what caused this and what's going to be the end result. There's so much unresolved right now, and that's why this is such a hard situation, because we're just watching this kind of moment to moment, day by day, and so far not much has changed. It's just some slight progress, but we'll definitely look. But again, a very, very difficult situation. So let's go to the 915 to Sand. Is this Sando? Sando, you're on the line.
Hello?
Yes, you're live.
Oh, yeah. What is it? Just trying to say it's an honor to be on you. I've been following you for a while. But
Thank you.
I saw a report for Damar Hamlin. And, and I saw it a while ago that when he went to the hospital and all that, and he was on the ventilator using 100% of it.
Mm-hmm.
But reportedly from his uncle and his nephew that he's only using 50% of it now. And I just want to say, tell you that information. I don't know if you knew it or something.
Yes, I had seen that. Yeah, I mentioned that also about the uncle's information about that 100% to 50%. And then the latest I saw was that they said that they turned him on his side. I think it was on his back. They turned him onto his side or towards his front to try to alleviate some of the stress on his lungs. It's not much. There's not a whole lot more information. No, not a ton has changed from yesterday, to be honest. In 24 hours, really have only gone from a slight bit of percentage and maybe a body positioning change, but otherwise he's still in the same situation, which is unconscious breathing with a machine. I mean, that's until we get out of that situation, that is still a critical situation. So appreciate you filling us in on this. I got to ask you, are you a Seahawks fan? What team are you a fan of?
I'm a Seahawks fan. I was watching the game with my friends, and we saw it, and we all came to the conclusion that's probably the worst thing we've seen in all of football, and it's scary to see just in general,
Yeah, it's hard to watch anytime there's injuries. Anytime somebody goes down, especially the kind where sometimes they're in pain, sometimes they have to bring the stretcher out. That's always a scary situation, but rarely do we see a situation where it looks like the person's, fighting for his life on the field, and that's what is so unusual about it. I to shift gears, I was going to just ask you, since you are a Seahawks fan, what do you think about the scheduling situation with the Seahawks? Are you like me, feeling like the Seahawks got screwed with that situation, or do you have a different opinion on it? What's your thoughts on the Seahawks scheduling of putting the Lions-Packers game after our game?
I don't know how to feel about it. Like, I do think we did get screwed a little bit, just a bit, but I don't know. It's a hard call about it.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like you're too fired up, not too angry about the situation. Well,
No, it's not. I don't know how to feel about it. It's just I don't know.
no, that's okay. I know. Some people don't think anything of it. Some people think, well, we deserved it because we didn't take care of business earlier. Some people are irate about it, but I have my thoughts on it, and everyone's entitled to it. We'll see if the schedule even goes through as it's meant to go, or will things drastically change based on what's happening? Who knows? But I appreciate you, Sando, calling in. You have a great rest of your evening, all right?
You
All
too, and thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. Go Seahawks. Let's bring in, we got a couple of people here. This is from the 401. We have Xavier. Xavier from the 401. What's up?
Hey, Norb, what's going on, brother?
It's a weird time, man.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to reconcile feelings of our team getting screwed in the playoffs while a young man for another team fights for his life. It makes you kind of realize, you know what? Maybe complaining about playoff positioning is not that big of a deal. So it's weird.
It really humbles the whole NFL, the whole every team that watches NFL. You really gotta just appreciate the just being able to watch it, because the crazy thing is it's just one of the probably top 3 physical sports in the whole world, and like anything that can happen will happen on a football field. So like there's not really much you could do as much as prepare or help them out, but I don't know what else I could change about that, but it's just a crazy situation.
Yeah, no, it really is. And man, I appreciate your call. I think it also is one of those things where, a lot of people say, well, they knew what they're getting themselves into. They're getting paid, millions of dollars, and, they knew the risks. It's true to a degree, but like I said, this situation is so rare that it's not like most people think that when you step out on the field, you risk losing your life. You risk injury, of course, but nobody, I think, thinks that they could lose their life. That's what's very rare about this. So hopefully we're not talking about this in that case, and that he is able to make a full recovery. So thanks for the call. Let's go to the 530. 530. You're on live. What's up? Okay, 530 is gone. Let's go to the 714. This is from the 714.
Hey, Norb.
Hey, what's going on? Who's this?
My name's Aidan.
Oh, not Aidan from Discord, is it?
No, yeah, Aidan family.
Oh yeah, Aidan, of course. Yeah, Aidan, how's it doing? How's it going?
Hey, long time no see.
Yeah, same. What's on your mind? What's on your mind today?
I saw you were talking about how the NFL screwed the Seahawks, and I mean, it feels like every year the Seahawks get screwed over some way by the NFL, and every time we play the Rams, it feels like the refs are always against us. So I was just curious what you think about that.
Well, I talked about it, and most people who know me, when I break games down, I'm the last person to blame the refs. It has to be a pretty massive bunch of bad calls that change the game for me to start pointing at the refs. I'll usually look at the team first and say, oh, well, we should have done this, shouldn't have done that. In this case, the reason I feel like we're screwed is because you're messing potentially with the integrity of all the team's full effort. And as I broke down earlier, it's just that if the Lions see our scoreboard and go, oh, damn, well, the Seahawks won, so we don't have any playoff chance now. On the heels of what happened to Damar Hamlin, is it possible, is more than possible that some players might not put their full effort in? They may not think, well, I don't know if I want to take a hit to the head or to the neck for this game that doesn't really matter now. If we were fighting for playoffs, maybe I'd put that extra little, risk myself because the risk is worth the reward. But you take that away. I don't know. I'm not an NFL player. I can't put myself in their position. I know a lot of these guys are playing for their future contracts, and so these guys want to put as much good tape out there as possible because they may not have a job next year if they don't play well, right? So I'd like to think that there's more motivating them that goes beyond this game because they are playing for their own job, and not everybody's got a job secure for next year. So on that regard, I'd like to think that most players are going to play the same effort no matter what. But, there might be a couple here and there who are got that guaranteed, I'll be here next year. Why risk it? So it's just it's a bad look, especially if it appears like, that the Lions don't pull on their full effort. It'll be pretty obvious if they don't put their full effort. But I'm hoping no matter what, it'll be competitive.
Yeah, even if the Seahawks win, I'm sure that Dan Campbell is going to have that Lions team fired up to win, but I don't think you can say that like the mood or the mindset of the Lions players are going to be the same as if they were going in knowing that was a winner. And
it's kind of like the same thing with the Rams. The Rams are in the same position that the Lions would be if we win, because the Rams have nothing to play for, right? All they can do is play spoiler, and that's what the Lions would be doing if the Seahawks win. So are the Rams putting out their full 100% guns out there? The big difference is the Lions are preparing to be playing for a playoff game, and they won't know until right before, kickoff. But for the Rams, they already knew this. They've shut a lot of things down already with certain players. They knew the season was over. So they're already in kind of shutdown mode for certain players that they maybe wouldn't risk injuring or something, since they know they're not going to be playing for anything at the end of the year. So it's a little bit different, but
I'm sure the Rams would love to spoil the Seahawks season, end the season off with an by ruining their playoff odds and coming into the offseason with a little momentum.
Yeah, and my concern is that the NFL would love to see the Rams spoil the Seahawks because the NFL is better off with that last game being a Lions fighting for playoffs and the Packers fighting for playoffs, which means they don't want to see us win because that kills that game for them. So that's what bothers me, is I feel like everybody in the NFL except for Seahawks fans wants the Seahawks to lose. So it's not a good combination when you feel like everybody's out to get you. Now, maybe they aren't, but it just certainly doesn't add up to a good thing in terms of the motivations about all the things around. So anyway, Aidan, I'm going to go to another call here, but I appreciate you jumping on. It's good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, thanks for letting me on.
Yeah, no problem. Come around anytime and have a good night. In the super chat, Ancient Hawk 48 says almost all teams in the NFL, including the Seahawks, changed their Instagram profile picture to Damar's jersey number, football's family prayers for number 3. I saw that. Now it's very cool. Sign of unity. So it's nice to see the teams and fans come together, and that part for sure is unwavering. Let's get Joseph. I don't think I've got Joseph in here. Joseph, you're on with NORBFAM.
Yeah, sorry. I think that could be me. Do you hear me?
I can hear you. Are you Joseph?
That's me. I'm actually the Rooftop Mariner.
Oh, wow.
You probably
Okay.
saw me on the chat. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
How's it
Okay.
going?
Well, I'm doing all right, I see a Rooftop Mariner in the chat. Baker Mayfield has something to play for. I see that. Yeah. And I think that's true. And I can't say as a blanket statement that the entire Detroit Lions organization is going to not try if the Seahawks win. That would be preposterous to think that that's what would happen to every single guy. There's plenty of players who are motivated to play, whether it's the Rams trying to beat the Seahawks or the Lions trying to beat the Packers. But again, it's that extra little something where that if everybody's playing for the playoffs, they know that they got that carrot dangled in front. And if they don't have that carrot, does that possibly change a couple of moments with a couple of players. That's what we're concerned about. We won't know until we get to that day. But yeah, what's your thoughts on it, Joseph?
Yeah, so my thoughts is as much as it sucks that we're in that situation where the Packers do have a favorable situation for them, issue I have with that is I'm one of those that don't like to make those kind of excuses, but I will say some of those key losses that the Seahawks had in the season, where it was about 4 of those games where they had a pretty good opportunity to win those games, and had they took care of maybe half of them. And the one that sticks out to me the most is the Raiders game, where not that I want to knock on Geno Smith too much because he's had a great season, but he did have a couple opportunities to at least get Jason Myers to field goal range, and had he at least done that, then I think we'd be having a completely different show.
Oh man,
and it's something, yeah.
Yeah, you had to bring me there. I believe me, it's like I have a hard time defending this team because I was in the same place, like blaming them. Like, God, how can you let this one slip through your fingers? You had the ball at the 45-yard line of the Raiders, and all you had to do is go 20 yards, and you kick a game-winning field goal, and then we're not having this conversation. You're sitting in the playoffs with a week to go. But that's the case, with all the teams that have ended up here, that Detroit could have beaten us in that shootout we had early in the year. The Packers, if they had just won one other game earlier, they wouldn't be having to rely on this game, right? So we all had to do something to get to where we are. So that said that, you wipe out everything behind you. You just put 3 8-8 teams together whose playoff fates are all intertwined. The right thing to do for the league was to make it to where both teams were playing so no team can have they have a blind eye to what the other teams are doing. It's what should have been done, because regardless of what it took to get there, this is where we are. And they didn't stick to that formula. And that's the only thing that bothers me, is that they've done it before, but they didn't do it this time. Why?
I guess I
can speculate on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly us and any other team could have gotten ourselves out of this situation where we're all relying on the other to do something for us. And except for the Packers. Packers just need to win. But in our case, we need help. And it sucks that we put ourselves in that case. But I still disagree with the way the league handled the scheduling.
I can see actually where you're coming from, because if you follow the World Cup, that's what they do in group stages in the first round. They put, each group, they put the 2 games at literally simultaneous times, so they don't have those kind of things. Because they did have a controversy like that in the 1982 World Cup, where 2 games were in 2 different times, and that did affect how the last game was going to be played. There's actually a complete video on that by Secret Base.
Okay. Yeah, but you don't even have to look as far as soccer. You can just look at other playoff matchups where the league did the right thing and put the teams all playing at the same time, and each stadium kind of agrees we won't show the scoreboard, so no team can kind of be looking like, oh, it's third quarter. How's our opponent doing? Oh, damn, Seahawks are blowing out the Rams. Oh, well, we got no playoff berth. They intentionally leave it out, and I think most players they don't have their phones on them, so there's no way for them to know what the status is of the other games. But that's not the case. They did us wrong on this one. And for anyone who thinks, oh, you're just a whiny Seahawks fan, if you're a Detroit Lion fan or if you're a Packer fan and the shoe was on the other foot, you'd feel the same damn way. And that's true. So, but yes, we could have avoided this. But same can be said for all the other teams. That's all I'm saying. All things being equal, we're in the same boat. And they didn't treat us as such. So we'll see what happens, but it's crazy. This year has just gotten off to a crazy start. We're only 3 days into this year, and boy, look at least as far as the NFL, it's a crazy time right now. So, well, hey man, thanks for the call. I'm gonna wrap this up pretty soon. I'll take one or 2 more calls and then call it a night. But thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. All right, let's go to one more. The 714. This is from Kansas City. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Man, this is KC, man, from
you're KC.
SoCal, bro.
Okay, you're KC. Sorry, I read it. I thought maybe this is from Kansas City. No, you are KC from SoCal. All right. Are you a Seahawks fan or what?
Yeah, man, I've been a Seahawks fan, man, since I was 11, man. People trip out. Like, I'm from L.A., grown up here my whole life. but I used to take trips up to Seattle, and my first game was in the Kingdome when I was like 11 years old. Got to meet Steve Largent,
right on.
Eugene Robinson.
Okay.
Yeah, Jacob Bryant. So, yeah, longtime fan, man. But appreciate what you do, man. I think we have the same anniversary, bro. Like I was married on June 2nd, 2001. I think.
Oh, well, we're
right?
just off. We're just off. I was married June 1st, 2002. So we're a year and a day apart.
Oh, okay. I thought we were the same date, man.
Oh, man, it's close.
But I've been wanting to connect with you, man. Love what you do.
Thank you.
Love your videos, man. You're talented, gifted, man. Appreciate your music talent. Love your videos. But yeah, man. I'm one of the guys for Seahawks fans that, man, I'm really honestly, and some people might not like this, but I'm just really tired of Pete Carroll, man. I'm over it.
Really?
Honestly, I think he's a lot of the problem. I think, I love Pete Carroll. I obviously have a lot of respect for him. Love what he did for us. Obviously, he got us the Super Bowl. The man is a legend. He's going to go down as a Hall of Fame coach, no doubt about it. But I think his time has run out with the Seahawks. And, we're hearing a little buzz in the air that, possibly John Schneider might be kind of done with him and wants to move on. I don't know if that's true, but I'm in that camp that says I think we need fresh vision. I think we need a fresh outlook and a new coach in town to take us over that hump, take us back to the promised land. And I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm going to throw it back at you. I find this very intriguing because I've got some friends, some who've been on the show. Squabo, who Noah Bolter TV, who's now a reporter, graduated from the Wazoo from broadcasting and just starting to do his thing. But last year he was the most adamant. We got to fire Pete Carroll, build around Russell Wilson. And boy, did he do a 180 turnaround. Like, you know what? I was wrong. Now, this was like midway through the season when we were killing it. Like, we were like 6-3 or whatever it was, shocking everybody. People were talking about us as a playoff team, Geno MVP, all that kind of stuff. Now, granted, we are not quite at that lofty status we were since. We've kind of fallen, from the top position, obviously. But what is it that you feel like is Pete Carroll's fault? Because let's look at some of the facts here, right? Geno Smith, in terms of as a starting quarterback, he's continued to lead the league in terms of passing efficiency. And I don't know, a lot of people may not know this, but he just broke 4,000 yards in that game last week in the win against the Jets. And Russell Wilson is the only other quarterback for the Seahawks who have broken 4,000 yards. He's done it 4 times. Well, Geno, granted this is a 17-game season, but Geno, if he gets more than 150, if he has 151 yards or more next game against the Rams, he will have the record for most passing yards in a season by any Seahawks quarterback, even Russell Wilson. Now, I don't know if everybody knows that, but that is a fact. Granted, it's a 17-game season, but still, the fact that he's the only other 4,000-yard quarterback. Geno hasn't been the problem. The defense has been the problem and, inconsistent running game. But what is it that you feel like Pete Carroll is not doing that puts the blame on him? Are you looking at just the results, or is there something specific that he's doing that is the problem? I just want to hear your more details on your argument here.
Yeah, I think we're just not coming up with the results. I think that.
Okay, so let me stop you. We're not coming up with the results. Whose fault is that? First, you got to go. Is that an offensive issue, or is it a defensive issue? Where would you put the blame right now in terms of the Seahawks not getting the results?
No, I'm open-minded, and I definitely think the defense kind of, folded and kind of kind of ruined our season for us because we were 6-3. And I was one of those guys that was like, oh, dang, maybe this is the resurgence of Pete Carroll. Like, I was like totally wanting him out of town and fired. And then we were like 6-3, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, man. He's got a little bit more in the tank. Like, okay, let's do this. Like, okay, Pete. Well, I'm like a Pete guy now. But then I'm looking at just the results, like the defense again, and he's the defensive-minded coach, and we can't even stop the run. Like, what's going on over here? Like, all of a sudden, yeah, you're right. The defense, I think, has let us down, but we're in the same position that we've been in, like, the last 4 seasons. Like, even if we make let's say by some miracle we make the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to go very deep. Is it good that we make the playoffs for morality's sake? I don't know, man. It's just, what are we going to do with Pete Carroll and his philosophy? I think it's old. I'm not. There's always talk about his age, and if you look at our division, there's just fresh, new, younger coaches that are coming in and now doing a better job. I mean, when you look at the results, I'm not against him as a person. Love Pete Carroll, again, love what he's done, but I just think it's time. It's been so long that he's been with us, and in the last 4 seasons we're still in the same position. Like, we can't get back to that strong, tough defense. We can't run the ball like we've wanted to. I even question some of the signings that we've had, and so it's just kind of frustrating.
But we had one of the best drafts last year, right? You got to say that this draft we had is probably one of the best since 2012. What's funny too is that in one breath you say we need a breath of fresh air, and the thing that Pete Carroll focuses the most on is running the football and playing defense. But you're saying that that's the thing that he's not doing, but you want a coach who will come in and do something different. I know where you're going, but here's the problem. I think a lot of times people feel like it's like the old backup quarterback scenario. The backup quarterback is your favorite player on the field when your quarterback is struggling because this guy has done no wrong, and you just want to change for change's sake, right? I was the same way. I was like, man, Geno Smith, we know what he can do. Just put Drew Lock in there because at least it'll be something different. It'll be a change. Let's see what he's got. But then Geno Smith goes in here and is like, damn, this brother can ball. He's about to throw for 4,000 yards, so I don't think there's a problem with the passing game if a guy's throwing for 4,000 yards in a season. And even in 16 games, he would have broken the 4,000-yard record. So I don't think there's a passing problem. Geno's not the problem. Yes, it is the defense. So the question you have to ask there, is it the X's and the O's or is it the Jimmies and the Joes? That question of, is it a coaching problem or is it a talent problem? Or is it a scheme problem? That's more of a coaching thing because we switched to a 3-4 this past year, right? So maybe we didn't quite have the players for a 3-4 when we came from a 4-3. But let me ask you this. If let's say by some miracle we make it to the playoffs, right? We get the win and the Packers get upset in Lambeau. We're like, yeah, we made it in. And then we're going to, now we're going to get our ass kicked by whoever in the first round, whether it's the 49ers or whoever the team is that we play first. But let's say we win that first playoff round. Somehow we pull off the miracle of all miracles and we advance. So we get to the divisional round, right? And then we lose again in the divisional. Are you still going to feel like, oh, God, same old result, doggone divisional title, a divisional round only. We need to change because it's just not good enough. Are you still going to feel that way if those 2 games go our way? Or would that change your opinion? Because it's hard to make it to the divisional round, especially in today's NFL, especially when you're not finishing last place for like 8 years in a row to build up all those draft capital to eventually have a good team like the 49ers did. They had to lose multiple seasons to get to where they have all these first-round picks to build up what they got now. They're reaping the benefits of sucking for like 5 years straight. So we've had the luxury of not ever having to really suck. Last year we kind of sucked. This year we were supposed to suck, and we're talking playoffs in the last week of the season. I don't think we're sucking, even though we're not happy with the total result. But has it been that bad to justify firing the head coach? I don't know if he's the problem, but some people just want to change for change's sake. But here's the thing. Just because you change it doesn't mean it's going to get better. You could replace Geno Smith with a high draft pick for the quarterback next year. Maybe that guy outperforms him. Maybe you throw Drew Lock in there to see what the guy's got. Well, what if he sucks? What if he's, a Sam Darnold? What if he's another bust? There's been a lot of busts in the first round at quarterback. And ask the Jets, man. The Jets are still trying to figure out their quarterback, and they have been crappy for like almost every season. They've had more first-round quarterback drafts than I can remember, and none of them have stuck. So Geno's proven for a year that he's thrown for 4,000 yards. He's got a very acceptable touchdown-interception ratio. Geno's not the problem. He may not be the perfect quarterback. He may not be Mahomes or Josh Allen, but how many of those are there? They don't grow on trees, right? So I'm just offering another perspective, man, because I know what you mean. So much of us want to have a different result, and we think, let's just change it. We change it out, it's going to get better. But sometimes you change it out, and it gets worse. What happened to Denver? Denver thought they were getting the Super Bowl when Russell Wilson came to town. They said, we need one thing. We need a quarterback. Let's get the proven guy who's been winning for 10 years straight. He's going to come in here. We're going to give him everything he wanted. New coach, new quarterback, one of the worst teams in the league. And I don't think Russ is done. I don't think this is his last hurrah, and I don't think he's going to be this bad forever. I think he's going to have a better year next year. I'm just saying, man, that was a change that was supposed to give them the Super Bowl run this year, and it was the complete opposite, and nobody can figure out why. But it just didn't happen. So my point is, be careful wishing for change's sake, because sometimes change doesn't mean it's going to be a positive one. That's all I'm saying, bro. Anyway, long-winded response, but I respect you. I respect your answer, and everybody's entitled to the opinion. And here's the reality. Pete Carroll is, what is he, 70-something? He's not going to be coaching for much longer. At some point, you're going to get your wish. At some point, he's going to go, you know what? I'm tired. I want to just sit on my couch, sit on my ass, chew my gum, and watch football on TV. Get my weekends back, get my life. I just want to play golf and do other stuff. So soon enough, he'll be gone from the Seahawks organization. Maybe it's 3 years from now. Maybe it's 2 years. Maybe it's next year. Maybe it's 5 years. I don't know. But right now, I don't think he's doing a horrible job. Doing a lot better than anybody expected.
Yeah.
Right? There you go.
Well, I was crushed when Russell Wilson left. I couldn't believe it. I thought, we'll never have another quarterback like that ever again, you know? Yeah. And lo and behold, Geno Smith comes in, is the starter and, blows everybody away. And now we've forgotten about Russell Wilson. We're over all that.
And think about this. If we just had if we had an average defense all year, we'd probably be 10-6 right now. If we had an average defense, we've had a below average defense for half the season. And yet we're still hanging in there because that's how good Geno's been. The running game's been up and down. The defense has been up and down. But the two things that have been consistent, special teams and Geno Smith. Those guys have been pretty damn consistent all year long. So we got to fix the things that haven't been consistent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
we'll
see.
Thank you, Norb, man. Love what you do, man.
Yeah, it was a good chat, man. I'm not sure who did more talking, you or me, but you got me to get some things off my own chest if I have this conversation. So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, appreciate you too, man. You got me thinking, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Well, let's talk again after Sunday, and let's see where things... I'll do another show after this. We'll do the post-Sunday celebratory or post-Sunday in memoriam chat about where our Seahawks are and what we need to do. And I'm sure people will be wanting heads to roll if we lose on Sunday. And if we win, they'll be like, oh, my God, what a great team we have. So we'll see how it goes. But appreciate you jumping on here, man. You have a good night, all right?
All right, buddy. You
all right,
too,
KC.
man. Take
KC,
care.
Take care, man. All right, that was KC. Wow, as told by Gonzo with the 1999 super chat, and Dukes of Hazzard with the 199 super chat says, "Let's ride, let's ride." As told by Gonzo says, "I enjoy the content. Broncos fan in a Seahawks city. Take care." Oh wow, that's not very often I hear a Broncos fan in a Seahawks city, except my business partner who was '80s Broncos fan who lives in the Seahawks city, but he's not really a Broncos fan ever since they changed the uniforms out. But I appreciate you, man. Would love to have you talk your perspective as a Broncos fan sometime about the state of things and what your thoughts are with what needs to happen with the Broncos moving forward. Because we'll always be curious to see what happens with Russell Wilson, because I think it's someday, hopefully he does get into the Hall of Fame. And if he does, I'm sure he'll go in there as a Seahawk, and he'll come back home to be in the Ring of Honor, and we'll welcome him with open arms. But for right now, we're just looking at that draft pick. So, all right. Thank you guys for everybody. And this is my last one. I'm going to bring, I guess Gupta's back on again. Gupta one last time, and then I'm going to wrap up the show because I'm getting kind of tired, and I'm sure you guys are too. So, Gupta, one more time. What's up?
Hey, Norb, it's me again.
Yeah.
So I have two questions for you. My first question is, how long have you been a Seattle Seahawks fan?
Okay. First question there. I've been a Seahawks fan since 1979. That's about this year I started watching football. And then when I found out Seattle had a team, I became a Seahawks fan. So 1979 and 1981 was the first time I got to watch a game in person.
And I have two more questions.
Go for
so I
it.
have three questions, by the way.
All right.
My second question for you is that, who are your top 10 Seahawks players of all time?
Top
and
10?
Current or past.
Wow, top 10. Wow, that's tough. All right, just spitting things out. Cam Chancellor, Steve Largent, Russell Wilson, Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Kenny Easley. Frick, I'm missing a bunch of guys here. Lofa Tatupu, Walter Jones, Cortez Kennedy, Sean Alexander. That's a pretty good top 10 right there.
My third question is that how would you rate Lumen Field on a scale of 1 to 10 as a NFL stadium?
From an aspect of the crowd or the facilities?
Just the facility.
The facilities. Okay, so the stadium celebrated their 20th anniversary this past season, or this current season, 2022. The stadium opened in 2002. I still think it's great. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't been to any of the brand new stadiums that are like the multi-billion-dollar complexes now that you see in Vegas and in Los Angeles and in Texas. So I haven't seen what a true luxurious state-of-the-art stadium looks like that's opened in the last 5-6 years. So I'm probably going to look at those and go, oh my God, this thing's a palace. The Seahawks stadium is not palatial, except maybe in the suites area. The rest of it's pretty like, I don't know, it's pretty like, I feel very blue collar like when I walk around our stadium, but it works for me. I like the fact that there's still the hard ingredients of weather factors in there. The noise that is generated from us and the way the stadium's built, how it overlooks Seattle. From that standpoint, and I'm not a suites guy. I don't hang out. I do go to the club pre-game because of my connection with Mark, but I go right to the seats because I'd rather be in the seats than in the suites. So from that standpoint, the only thing that I complained about was the screens were never that good because they were either super skinny or too wide. But they did add 2 new screens on the north end that are really nice. So they finally improved that, and they're supposedly going to have an upgrade in the sound system next year. So I got no problem. It's not like the Kingdom where things felt really out of date with everything about it. But this stadium, to me, it may not have the posh newness of the new stadiums, but I still think it still feels home to me, and it's still hard to believe it's been 20 years. So a few tweaks here and there to improve it. I think I'm good. I'm still good with it. I don't feel like we need to change anything.
And my fourth question is that what are some of your greatest Seattle Seahawks memories of all time? Like, what are some of the greatest maybe games that you've seen as a supporter of the team?
Very good. Let me see. So the obvious ones is, our first Super Bowl win. in New York, New Jersey. I got to be there with my dad. That's a memory I'll never forget. Then, of course, the NFC Championship game comeback over the Packers. Speaking of the Packers, in the final, the year after that, the NFC Championship that led to our first Super Bowl win against the 49ers was an amazing game. Then from there, there's just a whole bunch of other games. The NFC Championship game that got us to Super Bowl 40. There's the shootout against Deshaun Watson and the Texans back in 2017 or something like that. There was the the Panthers divisional game where Cam Chancellor intercepted Cam for the touchdown. That game was rocking. There was a game against Pittsburgh where we won like 39-30 or something like that, 33 or something in a primetime game a few years ago. Those are just a few of the ones that that stand out as just like awesome, charged, amazing memories. So,
yeah. I just want to say thanks for having me on your call-in show. I mean, I wish you the best and everything.
Thank you.
I don't like the Rams, so I'm gonna pull off the upset. I'm going for Seattle to beat LA, and I'm gonna say that I got the Seahawks winning over the Rams. I got them winning by a field goal. I got them winning 45-42 on a game-winning field goal.
Wait, you got the Seahawks winning by a field goal or the Rams winning by a field goal? Seahawks, right?
I don't like the Rams. I'm going with Seattle. I'm going with the Seahawks,
okay.
And I got them beating the LA Rams on a field goal 45-42.
45. Whew. Well, if we're getting 45 points, then definitely Geno Smith is breaking that 4,100-yard record that Russell Wilson currently holds. But I don't expect the game to be that high scoring. I'd be amazed if Seattle gets more than 24 points, to be honest with you. But I'd love that.
I got Geno Smith passing for over 500-plus yards.
Man, what team you been watching lately? You know how many points we've been putting up, man, right? I think it's been the beginning of the season that we were putting up like 40, 50 points.
Yeah, the reason why I'm picking the Seahawks to win is that they have Marquise Goodwin, who was a former 49er.
Yeah, Marquise wasn't available last week. I don't even know what his status is for this week, so we'll see. I hope he can play because we're kind of hurting, man. D'Estridge was out. Goodwin was out. We had a bunch of like rookies and stuff playing the third and fourth receiver. So, yeah, I would love to see that number, but I think maybe your difference will be correct. I think this game is a field goal type of game. 45 points. Oh, I'd love to see that. I just don't think it's going to get that high. But hey, you never know. Some crazy thing might happen. But hey, Gupta, I appreciate you, man.
Great.
Thanks for calling in.
You're a great person, and I love everything you do. Keep up the good work, NORBFAM. Keep up all the content. Let all the fans know to subscribe to your channel because you do a lot of great stuff on the YouTube channel.
Thank you.
You do a phenomenal job. Guys, like and subscribe to NORBFAM.
Yes, please.
You don't want to miss out another video, man. This guy comes out with lots of great content. You don't want to miss out on it.
Thank you. All right, man. Gupta, I appreciate it, man. Well, God, you guys keep lighting up the phone lines here. I guess I got to take a couple more. I was surprised. You guys I thought at 10 o'clock starting the show, nobody would be watching. I got more response on this than I do on usually the busy times. Go figure. Anyway, let's go to the 778 in Vancouver, British Columbia, our neighbors to the north. What's up? This is NORBFAM. You're on live.
Yo, what's happening, Norb?
Is this a niche?
Much love from Vancouver, British Columbia.
Of course. Who else would be calling me from British Columbia? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. I'm a long-time watcher, first-time caller. So
okay.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay. Wait, am I right? Is this a niche or is this somebody else?
No, man. This is Dave.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was a niche because he almost is usually the guy who calls me from Vancouver, but this is Dave. Sorry, I thought you were a niche.
No, you guys got much love out here. You guys got tons of fans up here.
Okay, well, I don't get a lot of people calling from Vancouver, British Columbia, other than
Canadians. We're a timid bunch, right?
Yeah. All right, Dave. So what's on your mind? What's your thoughts on all this that we talked about tonight?
Oh, I just joined your stream, so I don't really know if you've discussed this yet. But
do you think the Seahawks? Do you think the Seahawks got screwed?
The mindset going into this game on Sunday.
Yeah,
it's like I really want them to make the playoffs, and I'll be disappointed if they don't. But at the same time, I'm so thrilled with the season they've had. It's like, how do I walk away from this? Like after the game, let's say they win, but the Packers win, so they don't get in. It's like, it's a successful season, but it's still kind of like devastating, right?
Oh, it is. Anytime you feel like you're this close and then it gets taken away from you, you go, oh man, if we only just made that one field goal, if we only got that 1 point, one run, one first down in that one game, we would have been in the playoffs.
How about we beat one NFC South team?
I know, one of the worst divisions of football, and we got swept by them. I still can't figure it out in my head, but it sucks. Yeah, it sucks. We should have beaten the Falcons. We could have beaten Brady. It had a couple things not gone our way. We got spanked pretty bad by the Panthers, so I don't know about that game. But then the Saints, we could have beaten them too. So it's frustrating that we were so close, And
that game was in hand, man. We could have had it.
It was several of those games. Like I said, we could have been a 10-6 team right now, or better. We could be 11-5 if you really kind of push it with a couple. If we beat the Raiders too, there's a bunch of winnable games that we let slip through our fingers. But
no kidding.
Crazy, but yeah, man, all these people lighting up the phone line. That's crazy. I don't know. So what's your gut tell you? Come Sunday, if I do a show like this Tuesday night next week, are we going to be happy or are we going to be all depressed?
Seahawks winning. I'm worried about the Packers winning. Kind of like our season rests on the Lions not choking. So I don't feel good about that.
Believe me, I feel like the whole league is just rolling out the red carpet for Aaron Rodgers to walk across. But who knows? The Lions might pull up the upset, and if we take care of business, sweep the Rams for the first time in a long ass time, who knows? We might just be in shock.
Didn't we beat the Rams earlier this season, though?
Barely. But yes, that was before they had Baker Mayfield, too, though. They had some third-string dude, and we barely beat them then down in L.A. But we'll take it. But again,
I don't even know. Like,
it's crazy.
I feel like much ado has been made about him, but
sometimes he's great, and then sometimes he doesn't show up. I mean, but I don't know. I don't know. I was not one of those guys who wanted to get him for the Seahawks. I'm glad we didn't, to be honest with you. But Geno's been fine. Geno has not been the issue. Geno's actually been damn good this year, playing better than anybody expected. It's our defense in our running game that has let us down. So that's the stuff we got to work on. So. All right, man. Well,
that's true. That's true.
Let's see what happens, and let's hope
man,
next
thanks
week.
For taking my call. Appreciate it. And hey, you know what? I think the season we got to take it away as a big win. So I'm feeling good about everything that's happened this year.
Can't complain. And then the draft, we got something to look forward to. So it's all pretty good.
Ain't that true? Hey, thanks a lot, Russell Wilson. Right?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, if he had a sucky year to have, this was the perfect time to do it. So he can bounce back next year, but this year we kind of got the best of both worlds. So. All right, man. Thanks for the call.
Appreciate it. Wins the Super Bowl. Good for him. So.
Yeah. Then you make the Hall of Fame come back in the Ring of Honor as a Seahawk. All good.
That was good.
All right. All right, man. Thanks for the call, man. Yeah, you bet. No problem. All right, let's just go to the next one. Denver from the 720. What's up? Who's this? Where are you calling from? Yeah, I got rickrolled for the first time on the air. How cool is that? We were singing that song in the stadium, actually. Let's go to Marvin in the 650. Is he going to rickroll me too? Let's find out. Marvin. Marvelous Marvin.
Cam.
What's up? This Marvin?
How you doing, man? What's up?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. I thought you were going to rickroll me. That was the new thing. Where are you from?
Bro.
Where's 650?
But, near San Francisco. Bay Area.
Okay, all right. Now, does that make you a Seahawks fan or are you a 49er fan?
Oh, no, I'm a Seahawks fan. Die-hard fan.
All right.
Die-hard.
Check.
It might sound crazy, but I don't know. I've been thinking, do you think we should trade DK for Stephon Diggs?
We just signed him. We just extended him.
I know, man, but Stephon, the way he's playing right now at just a high level, I think we trade for him.
I disagree, man. I disagree. I think DK.
Really?
Yeah, the thing is, DK, he gets doubled.
It's really been on my mind lately, and it's just like I feel like Stephon can take this team to another level.
I think DK is going to do that, but we got to have complementary pieces around. Here's the thing, right? When we were playing lights out, we had every phase going for us. Our defense was playing solid. They weren't like 2013 defense, but they were really good. They were above average. The running game was better than average, and Geno was doing what Geno has been doing this whole season. So if you can just get the other places that aren't being consistent right now to just be average to above average, we're a playoff team. And DK, I don't think is the problem. DK, he has some drops. He had a sucky game last. He only made one catch for 3 yards.
About DK, like the last games, like against San Francisco, Kansas City, he runs his mouth too much. I feel like he's running his mouth too much, more than like he's playing right now, and I'm not liking that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true. He's not perfect. He's certainly not. He could be better, and he drops some balls.
We've seen that Thursday night game versus San Francisco. Travarius Ward was locking him up all night, pretty much. And he kept on running his mouth, and it's just like, come on, DK, play the game more than you run your mouth.
Right. I agree there. But, we just extended him. I feel like, he's got to keep things in check. But, if we pick up a couple more pieces, like Tyler, not having Tyler is rough, man. It's hard to not have Tyler Lockett. He's better on the field, but he's not 100% Tyler right now. But we're also missing.
And I don't think we've gotten the 100% of Kenneth Walker either. So that's going to be great next season as well.
Yeah, and he's been playing better as of late. 100 yards against Kansas, or close to it in Kansas City. In his last game, he tore it up again as well. So he's kind of back on track where we want him to be. And really, I think we need a little bit more extra, some more playmakers in the receiving side of things.
Yeah.
But it's really the defense. Like I said, if the defense was just average all year or above average, we'd be in the freaking playoffs without a doubt. So,
for sure.
So I don't think DK is the problem. Right. He could be better, but I'm not ready to trade him away at this point, because I still think he's got upside, and the teams are spending time locking him down. They put safeties over the top. I mean, he gets a lot of attention, which opens it up for other players. So the other players have got to step up.
You think Kayshon Boutte from LSU? What do you think about that in the draft?
I'll have to be honest. I don't keep up with the college players, so I'm not that familiar with everybody. So you'll have to tell me about what you like about him, because I don't really have a good.
He's honestly he's kind of like a DK Metcalf, but a DK Metcalf in a smaller version. His body's built almost like DK. He's a great route runner, almost like a Debo type of receiver. I really like him, and if we dropped him, I think that would be a good duo with DK and Boutte.
I wouldn't want to spend high draft capital on it. My feeling is, there's that whole debate. Should we go quarterback with our first pick? That'll probably be number 3 in the draft, or should we go defense? My feeling is that we should go defense, because I don't think the quarterback is the problem. And Geno, I think, can play still for another 2-3 years. He's younger than Russ. He came into the league a year after Russell did. So he's not like some old man. They just gave Russ this mega extension, and he's older than Geno. So, it's a rare chance that we draft this high without having to suck. But again, like I said, Geno wasn't the problem. It was the defense. So you look at the 49ers, man, a lot of the reason why they're doing so good is that defense is just all worldly. If we're going to have a chance to build our defense up to get it closer to that level, like I said, if we had an average to above average defense, we'd probably win this division, or at least be battling for it. So that's my feeling anyway. So I think we got to fix those other things. And that's what got us the Super Bowl in 2013. It was that defense that you really kind of led the way. So follow what worked 10 years ago. So, I appreciate the call, man.
Thank you, Cam. Hope you have a blessed night.
All right.
And
have a good one. Bro. All right. We are moving on. Let's see. Man, I thought everybody was done. People calling in still. How about Rylan for the 509 over Spokane, maybe? Rylan?
Yeah, I'm from Richland. I just saw you. It was my first time watching. I just wanted to tune in. And I just wanted to talk about how, the impact Kenneth Walker has. In the offense, how better we thrive in our pass game and in general when he's playing, outside of, talking about his explosiveness, the 100 yards in Kansas City's explosive game last week. It's not just his impact in the running game. I think he impacts our whole entire offense, how we thrive in general. I think it's much deeper than just him running the ball,
Oh, yeah.
I just want your thoughts and opinion.
Yeah, no, Kenneth Walker. I love this guy. I loved the pick. Once had him kind of circled as a potential guy, and just looking at the tape on him, I was like, oh, this guy reminds me. He's got Barry Sanders like juke moves, and he's like last Sunday. Hey, it's great to have a 60-yard run to start the game. I mean, you're already halfway and then some to 100 yards in one play, which is awesome. But he did some stuff, where I think he just stopped dancing around. He started just hitting the holes and pushing through. And I think he got just kept trying to bounce things outside for a while, and he kept getting negative plays. But once he kind of switched, he just started going north-south. And then and there was one particular pass play. It's like a swing to the flat. And it was like him one-on-one with a defender. And I was like, oh, this guy's not getting him. He puts a little juke move on him, spins, does a little spin out and gets like the first down. And they need to get the ball to this guy in all ways he can, because when he's out in the open, like nobody can go one-on-one with him and tackle him if he's got all this space. So yeah, he can do a lot of great things. And it's cool to see him coming back and having a mid-season resurgence of his game. I just hope it's not too little too late, because it would have been nice if we could have had this production about one extra game ago, because then maybe we wouldn't be in this position. But it's nice to see him doing what he was, doing when he was red hot, and having a couple games of 100 yards or more is nice to see. So yeah, no, I love Kenneth Walker. He's great. I think we just got to keep building up a little bit of the interior line on offense. And, I think we can never have too much running back depth, because as we found, once again, we hit that point where like, should we call up Marshawn Lynch? We got no running backs again. So it's weird how that happens almost every year we get down to the bottom of it. But yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, when you were just talking about earlier with the drafting the quarterbacks, I agree. I think you're 100% spot on. Is like taking a game-changing pass rusher, like a player who stands out more than anybody else, is exactly what we need on our team right now. Because almost every single play, our defense is just missing crucial tackles, giving up these first. And it's just it's so hard to watch, and we get our pressure, but it's not consistent. Mm-hmm. And I think I 100% agree with you. We roll with Geno. We take that game-changing pass rusher, defensive end, edge rusher kind of player who will just demolish offensive linemen, make those tackles behind the line, be a leader for our defense, because it's hard watching this defense trying to make these big-time third-down tackles on 3rd and 9, and they get a screen pass. It looks like that we should stop them, and they get past 3 of our linebackers and run for 11 yards,
Although Cody Barton did a great job blowing up one of the screens that normally they jailbreak and they're gone for like 20 yards. He actually blew up a screen this past Sunday. I was really happy to see that. So, Jordan Brooks, bless his heart, man, goes down with a torn ACL the second to last game of the season, which really sucks, because not only will we not have him available for this push at the end, possibly maybe even in the playoffs, that he's going to miss that, but now he's gone for 9 months potentially, which means I don't know when he's going to really be back to play for Seattle. It's just too bad, feel bad for him that happened. But all the more reason we're going to have to get more linebacker depth, in this draft too, because we lost Bobby and now we lost Jordan Brooks. So we don't really have like that all-star linebacker, which is one of the most important positions on the field, especially if we continue doing the 3-4. So we really got to address that issue as well, So, again, defense is where I still see where we have so many issues. So, but yeah.
And then I have one more question, and that's all I want to end on is what's your on Jamal Adams right now?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. What's my opinion on what?
Jamal Adams. What do you think we should do with him in the next? Because don't we have like one more year on his contract still, or
correct?
Do we still have a little bit left?
I think this is his last year of the contract. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. I don't know what again, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. As far as what we do with him, I'm actually excited about what our defense could look like with him all year long. We could have really used his run stopping prowess this year. So that I already feel like we're getting a player back next year. Obviously, I don't think he's going to command as much on the safety market that we paid for him. And we definitely overpaid him because of the fact that he wasn't able to fulfill those 3 years of that contract. So depending on how things go next year, obviously, I think he's going to be less in demand, he'll have less of a contract thing. But if he plays well, we'll have to explore that again to see how the year goes. And maybe at that point, re-signing him could be an option. If he has a great year and he fits in well and does a great job helping stop the run, maybe we extend him again, but maybe at a lower price. But I feel like we never really seen him at his best. The best we had was that first year he was here, and then since then it was kind of weird how we used him. He was used more in pass defense and not blitzing as much, and then he was hurt. So I feel like we haven't really gotten the best out of him, and maybe we'll get the best out of him this next year coming up. So we'll see. Let's a couple more calls coming on here. I was going to hang it up, but it's still going so well. Let's go to the 571. Is this Mary? It's probably not Mary, but for the 571, who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Norb, it's Dominic from Manassas, Virginia. What's up, buddy?
Wow, Dominic, all the way from what time is it over there? Like 3 in the morning? You're up late. It's 3:40 in the morning. What are you doing watching this YouTube channel at this 3:40 in the morning? I'm glad you're here, man. What's up?
Well, listen, I just wanted to talk about how DK Metcalf has been playing all season. Like, what do you think he could be capable of entering the final game of the season for Seattle?
Well, going against the Rams, you know what this is going to be like. We saw this last time, and every time we go up against the Rams, it's going to be the Jalen Ramsey, DK Metcalf show, right? It's going to be these guys locking each other up, trying to one-up each other. To be honest, I don't feel the need to give him tons of throws and yardage. What I'm hoping is that so much attention is put on DK that Tyler Lockett, the tight ends, running backs out of the backfield will just get all kinds of touches. And if DK comes away with like 4 catches, 50 yards, but everybody else gets like over 200 total, I'm totally good with that. DK doesn't need to put up the numbers, and they can have their little fist fights and side stuff going on. Just don't get a flag, DK. Anything else you guys do, he'll get that catch or two that he burns him on, and he can rub it in his face. But he doesn't have to be the guy. Maybe he gets that one catch for the touchdown, and then we just get a bunch of other yards, to the other guys. I'm totally fine with that. As long as he doesn't run his mouth and get penalties, that's the only thing. But he's got to catch the ball. I'm still frustrated that he has not gotten catches when he should have caught them. He dropped the ball last week. That was a tough catch, but he had it right here. He should have caught the football. And then there was another play against, I think, the 49ers game where he had a touchdown. He didn't, or was it Kansas City? Confused now, getting old. But he didn't drag his feet, so his toes didn't tap, and it wasn't a touchdown. I think it's Kansas City, actually. He should have had a touchdown. He should have dragged. He jumped when he shouldn't have needed to jump, and then because of that, he took his feet out of the end zone. He couldn't put him down. So instead of a touchdown at the end of the first half, he had to settle for a field goal. It's plays like that have separated from being good, and he's been good, but he could be great. It's just those little things, and then the dumb things. So I still feel like he could get there, but he's just got to be better. But even on a bad year when he's made a lot of mistakes, he's still tearing it up. It's still productive. Really productive, so I really can't complain too much. He's been good to have, and he takes away attention from other players who Gino can get the ball to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about DK. He's done really well on the receiving end for Seattle, and if he can stay that way against the Rams this coming weekend, I feel like Seattle could have a chance to beat the Rams.
Yeah, what'll be different this time around, and I appreciate your call, man, is that the Rams are going to be different from the last time we saw them. They didn't have Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield has had some blow him up games, and he's had games where the team got blown up. So which team shows up, which Baker Mayfield team shows up against the Seahawks, we'll find out on Sunday. But again, we have benefited from the fact that the Rams have been decimated with injuries on their offensive lines, on some of their key stars, offense and defense. So we've been lucky for that. So we took advantage the last time. Can we do it again? We're going to have to. This is the second playoff game in a row. The playoffs for us started last week against the Jets. We got the win. We have a second playoff game coming up against the Rams on Sunday. If we get that one, a little help from the Lions, we can have a 5-game playoff potential run here if you include the last 2 games, because it really was like the playoffs for us. So we'll see what happens. But let's go here because I have to go to the bathroom. So we have to wrap this up. Let's go local here to the 206. 206, what's your name and where are you from?
Hey, Norb. My name is Armando. I'm here from Federal Way.
All right, just our neighbors down the street. What's up? What's on your mind?
Well, I want to just start off just 2 things real quick because I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah,
but
right.
the first one is, we definitely NFL did screw us over for the timing slots that we have. Yeah. The benefit is that we do win. It's a great thing, right? But the bad side is, Detroit Lions will find out that, that we won, and they'll probably have a different approach to facing Green Bay. But just seeing how Detroit has been playing this year and the head coach, I think they're going to have that mentality of like, all right, we didn't make it to the playoffs, but we are going to, try our best to beat Green Bay Packers and spoil them from not entering the playoffs as well.
Right.
So that's one. Second, I also want to agree with DK Metcalf. I think he's been doing good, and I don't agree with the fact that we should trade him. I think he's going to do fine. I just feel like sometimes our system doesn't work well with DK Metcalf. But I'm hoping that, we could see more positive sides for DK. But yeah, those are my 2 insights that I have.
All right. I can't disagree with you there. Yeah, I think I just don't want to see DK get all frustrated. We saw that before in that game in 2020 when we won the division, played the Rams in the wild card at home and lost, and DK was all upset and throwing a tantrum. And the next thing you know, Wilson throws a pick 6 because he was forcing the ball to DK. We can't have that. And I don't think we've seen that this year. We've seen him get kind of in the face of, taunting and things like that. The refs, still a dumb thing to do, but at least it's not a distraction. It doesn't appear to be a distraction on the sideline. So he seems to have been a better teammate this year. But, we just need him to do his thing, take Jalen Ramsey out of the game, essentially, and let the other, receivers and tight ends get their catches, and DK will get a few of his. But, all that schedule screwing stuff doesn't matter if the Seahawks can't beat the Rams, because that's the first thing that has to happen. So it's easy to just focus on, oh no, what about the Packers? Well, if we don't win against the Rams, none of that even matters, right? So we got to get that done first. So, well, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. I guess we're both going to get some sleep now. So thanks, man. Yeah. Thanks for calling. All right.
Thank you, man. Have a good night.
All right. You too. All right. So that is it. We're going to wrap things up now. As it's time to get to bed. It's a late one. So, well, I appreciate, I might do more of these late shows because I am shocked at how many people tuned in tonight. I thought there would be like a trickle of people. And instead, I've got the most calls, the responses in a night on a show that I thought everybody would be asleep at. But I appreciate you guys coming in. For those who, and Dukes of Hazzard with a super chat, late in acknowledging this one. He was born in 1979, he says. So sorry about the late acknowledgement, Dukes of Hazzard. And he also said, wasn't expecting this season, go Hawks. So totally true. This, all said and done, I think as Seahawks fans, we have to be pretty grateful for the fact that we even have this. It's rare to have the combination of a dream of the playoffs and still having a high draft pick. You normally don't get that. You got to get one or the other, right? Playoff run, bad draft pick, or sucky, horrible season, good draft pick. We're getting the best of both worlds, and who can complain about that, right? So we've been pretty fortunate that we can even. My dream was that the last game of the year was going to be meaningful, and as meaningful as because it means everything right now, and that's all you can ask for, and to have a game that matters and a chance to make it to that. The excitement of making it to the postseason, and we're one win and a little help away from getting there. And boy, it'd be cool because you never know what happens, especially if you get hot at the end of the year. So, all right, you guys, thank you very much. I'll try to update here more often as we find out more about the Damar Hamlin situation, and of course with what happens with the rest of the league, because I'm sure a lot of things are going to be addressed in terms of that game, the postponed Bengals-Bills game, and the rest of the season, how that might be affected as well. So it's not boring times right now, that's for sure. But of course, all the best, and and wishes for a speedy recovery for Damar Hamlin and that he's going to be okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you here. You guys all have a great evening or morning, as it is. And we'll talk to you guys very soon. All right. Take care and go Hawks. Go Seahawks.